from the bottom, ain't no problems, we gon' make a way. Got no coach on the field, but we making plays. Hey, look, don't worry, we gon' be okay. Hey, look, why? Cause we gon' make them pay. We from
This is actually Friday night action. We got, I'm very scared of playing inside of the dome for national televised Friday games, but we have Clemson taking on the Syracuse Orangemen. This line actually opened up in favor of Clemson, minus 17. That line is now at minus 14, 14 and a half at some places, just depending on where you find it. The total opened up at 45 and a half, and it stayed consistent pretty much. It went down a point, but, it's kind of all over the place based on the numbers. Clemson Tigers 3-2 on the year, 0-5 against the spread, while the Orangemen are 3-3 on the year, and they are 5-1 against the spread. Trying to get to these injury reports. As we know, Clemson has a plethora of injuries. Spector, linebacker, he is questionable for undisclosed reason. Galloway, he left the last game with concussion, so he's questionable for this week. Goodrich, corner, questionable, undisclosed. Justin Ross, concussion. He's probable for this game this week. They did lose Davis, Johnson, and Breeds, all defensive linemen. They are out for the season. Wide receiver Ladson Jr. is dealing with a groin injury. He's questionable. Offensive lineman Putnam, he missed the last game, so he's questionable this week with a toe injury. And wide receiver Spector's little brother, he is out indefinitely with COVID-19. Xander's the safety out for the season. I mean, this team is filled with injuries all over the place. Shipley, running back, he's out indefinitely as well. They're just plagued with injuries, as with Syracuse. Running back Adams, he's questionable for undisclosed issues. Tisdale, offensive lineman, he's questionable with a lower body injury. Benson, the tight end, is questionable. Defensive back Carter, he's questionable as well. And Williams, the punter, is questionable. All of these guys have undisclosed injuries. So it's very, you definitely want to keep an update and a lookout on what's going on for the Orangemen side of the ball. Now, Clemson is coming off a 19-13 victory against Boston College, while Syracuse nutted up this last weekend and lost to Wake Forest 37-40, while they were up for majority of that game. Get to these actual factors. Clemson 0-6 against the spread in the last 6 games. They're under 4 out of the last 5. They're 13-4 straight up in the last 17 games this year. Well, not this year, but the last 17 games. They're 2-5 against the spread in the last 7 games of playing against Syracuse. 7-1 straight up in the last 8 games against Syracuse. 14-2 straight up in the last 16 games on the road. But 0-5 against the spread this season in the last 5 games. Syracuse, they're 7-1 against the spread in the last 8 games, 3-11 straight up in the last 14 games. They're under 4 out of the last 5 games against Clemson. They're 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 games when playing at home. But they're 0-9 straight up in the last 9 games when playing against an ACC opponent. And the overs hit 5 out of the last 6 games when the Orangemen are playing in October. So we got the Clemson Tigers taking on the Syracuse Orangemen. Marley, I'm going to let you take this one first. How do you feel?
Man, that was a whole host of fucking injuries.
Yes.
We rattled off for Clemson. Man. Wow. However, it's still Clemson and Syracuse, and we're talking completely different athletes and when I say different athletes, I just mean on a whole nother level. We're talking 4- and 5-star recruit versus 3, maybe some 4s, rarely a 5, probably just 3s and 2s, sprinkle some 4-star recruits in there against majority 4 or 5-star recruits. It's still a different level of competition. However, Friday Night Lights, anything can happen. 14 points is a lot. I can see Syracuse giving you a backdoor cover or even keeping it tight until the end with all the injuries you riddled off. But my thing is this when it boils down to it. Even though Clemson is not the Clemson that we've been traditionally used to seeing over the last 4 or 5 years, however long, They've been challenging Alabama. Their defense is still good. They're still only allowing 12.2 points a game. I'm going to take the under 45. I think Syracuse is going to struggle to score, period, regardless if they're missing Ross and they're missing this running back. It's for Clemson. The offense may struggle to score because of all the injuries you just named. So that's what would scare me away from the 14. But still, with that said, this offense isn't going to score upwards of 24, 25 points because of the injuries you just named. But the defense is still good enough to hold Syracuse under 20 points. So I like the under 45. I'm looking at like a 24 to 10, 24 to maybe even 14 type of ball game. Low 40s, high 40s. Under. I'm gonna stay away from the side. There's too many injuries on the Clemson side.
All right, Flat Top, how do you feel about this one?
Same thing. That's a long list. I was hoping Marley wasn't gonna go for the under, but if you look at this team, they're just devastated on offense, but their defense is still pretty solid. This Syracuse team, I think they're rushing for over 200 yards a game. They're not doing that against Clemson. You look at the numbers, Clemson played Georgia Tech, which is, triple option. They're a run team, and they held Gibbs pretty low. But it was a low-scoring game, 14-8. I think this 100% goes under 45. This should be a low-scoring game. Clemson's defense is good. The question is the offense. It's a lot of points, which is why I'm not confident on the minus 14, but it should 100% go under 45. I think that's the play here. So under 45.
Thing I forgot to mention. My bad, Flat Top. I'm so sorry, bro.
No, okay.
I thought you were done. One last thing. Clemson only had 2 games that went over 45. One of those games was against South Carolina State, where they scored 49 of the 3, and the other game was North Carolina State. And Syracuse offense is no North Carolina State's offense. They can actually hold the ball.
Exactly. So
you have the perfect point with they average 242 yards rushing. They're not going to get that.
Yeah. So I think that has to be the smart play here is the under 45 for me. I don't know what they'll do in the first half, but it seems pretty solid for second half. If it's stout on the front end, it'll be stout on the back end, and I could just totally see that 24-14 or 24-10 should hit right around 35. So that's what I'm rocking with. Official play, under 45.
Now, y'all know me. I don't do unders, but y'all made some hellified points. If I were to lean, I'd probably lean Syracuse with these points just because Syracuse loves games like this, and they love to come out and play against Clemson no matter if it's on the road or at home. And I'm talking about when Clemson be having some studs. So Dino, I do like.
Do you trust Dino?
Well, it don't even matter. I'm not making a play on official play on either side. If I had to lean, I'd do Syracuse. But I'm not a totals guy, but I do like what y'all are telling me. I'm gonna go ahead and take the under. I can definitely see it like 34, 34-10, 31-10 or 31, maybe 14, something like that.
One more thing with you saying that before you go, because I agree with everything you just said with except for the score. With the exception of that South Carolina State game, Clemson has not scored more than 21 points in any game this season.
Well, I'm just saying, worst case scenario, 31-14, maybe, maybe 34-13. This under should hit. Now, Clemson all of a sudden want to come out and just start blowing the doors.
Right, that might be right.
What we don't want is a 24-20. What we don't want is Syracuse to go up early, and be it in at half like 17-10, something like that. We don't want Syracuse.
You don't want fluke touchdowns early. Punt returns, kick returns, trick plays. Like,
I mean, that could happen. Syracuse going to throw the book, especially at this moment of the year when they don't have nothing to lose. expect some trickery.
So they're going to do them. I expect the plays, but I'm saying Clemson has to not let them score off them.
And everybody wants to know what's going on with Clemson. In my opinion, they can't run the ball right now. You know, their run always opens up the RPO game and always opens up the passing game.
I think that too, but I think DJ is young, if I'm not mistaken. He just was.
He is, but I mean,
he hasn't.
Trevor Lawrence was young. Travis Etienne was young.
Yeah,
you know,
Deshaun
Watson was young when he got thrown in the mix.
But look at the two guys you named. One was a prodigy since the age of 10 in Trevor Lawrence, and the other is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the game right now. So,
and Big Cinco had more publicity and more pub coming out of high school than both of them dudes combined. DJ Uiagalelei
he's not better than them.
But we're talking about the hype behind him. He had more hype behind him than both of the Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence always had to deal with what's his name, Justin Fields in his shadow. With DJ, it was DJ, then Bryce Young, and everybody else. Played on a national championship. DJ's had more hype than any of those quarterbacks.
Well, hype doesn't make you good. Hype gives you hype. I think they'll be all right. He just needs a year. He needs time. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to just go out there and play against some of the better defenses in the league in college.
I hear you, but I'm just saying Watson did it and Lawrence did it.
Yeah,
and they were both surrounded. And
he played at Bosco, didn't he? And
he went to St. Bosco. Tell him.
That's a talent. That's a talent farm. He was going to the best
I think he's talented. I think he just needs experience. Speaks for a lot, Coach.
Well, I'm just saying, compared to all the other cats that been coming in there, they didn't have no problems. But I mean, of course, I agree with you. But if you coming in as the man, you got to come show it. You got to come with it, big dog. Yeah. I'm just saying, Trevor Lawrence can't. The only difference between Watson and Lawrence, they got on the field as soon as they graduated and had to start. This dude had a year to sit behind somebody and learn the system.
But that's
the big difference.
He doesn't have a Travis Etienne. He doesn't have a
Travis. They got more at this moment in this program. They have way more 5-star players that came in, especially with his class, than they did previously.
I agree, but they're hurt. But they're hurt right now. Yeah, as you rattled off.
Because Travis Etienne wasn't Travis Etienne his first year, second year. He got started his second year.
But like you said, they're all hurt right now.
It's a lot of hurt. It's a lot of injuries. But even so, a lot of those guys started going down the last game. But before then, he had them all. He had them in the Georgia game. He had them in the Georgia Tech game. He had them.
That Georgia game, we know what Georgia is. So
right, but Georgia Tech.
I'm saying I think he needs time. He's not there. If we're saying is he there, I agree with you. No, he's not. He needs another year under his belt. Will he be Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Jackson? If I had to bet my money on it, I would say no. Even if he played better, those are probably two of the best quarterbacks to come through Clemson history. So is it even fair for me to say will he be them? I don't think that's fair.
Right.
The two of the best quarterbacks to come through Clemson's in their entire school history. What's the odds better than them two?
Well, we all three of us like the under, so that's
check it out. Look, we from the bottom, ain't no problems, we gon' make a way. Got no coach on the field, but we making plays. Hey, look, don't worry, we gon' be okay. Hey, look, why? Cause we gon' make them pay. We from